So you've done the self-help and you've dipped into some personal development, but now you ask the question, now what? What can you do? Well, if you want to escape the apathy, step right this way. So twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week personal development and training course. What people get out of it is multifaceted. There's curriculum, there's exercises, there's camaraderie, you make new friends. There's a whole lot of interesting things. We're going to hear a sample from the course right now, and let's take a look at the value these students are getting.
Now, right before I got here this morning, I had the pleasure of finishing a documentary that I started last night. You see, I was going through my Saturday. I thought I was all done after Do It Live. And then I got this text about a movie premiere last night. And I was like, oh, yeah, there's that movie premiere this weekend. And it was called Plandemic 3. And so I tuned in because Dell Bigtree, he sent me, I got this link in my text and I was like, oh, what's going on? And they had this red carpet. And I was like, am I watching like some liberal Hollywood thing? What's going on here? No, Austin, Texas, people of freedom and means. There was quite a few wealthy people there. It's the first thing I've seen of its kind. I've seen a lot of like premieres for truther movies. As an example, as I'm watching this premiere setup, I'm remembering back in 2008, and I flew to Vancouver because I was in a documentary called Hijacking Humanity. And my friend Paul Verge made it. It was like a 2-disc set. It was like a 4-hour movie. It was long. And they had rented out like a science auditorium, like a science center. It was like a movie theater type place. It had like 300 seats and a big screen, and there was a lobby out there. And there was like we didn't have a red carpet, but you get your photographs taken out there. Then everyone goes into the movie theater and watches the movie, right? So just as I'm getting this vibe from like 2008, how we had done something like this a long time ago. We didn't have 2,500 people. We had like, 250. It was 1/10 the size, but I'm getting this vibe of this thing that we did a long time ago. And then David Martin during his interview says, they are hijacking humanity. So I snapped a picture of that and I sent it to Paul. I was like, yo, you got to check this out. This thing's popping off down there in Austin. So I got to see all the interviews and JP Sears and Del Bigtree and everyone on the red carpet. And then they went into a couple they did the preview of the movie, and then they used their marketing time well, and they placed their ads. Here's our future projects. Here's our calls to action. Very professionally conducted. And then the movie started, and I was like, what's Mikki going to show me? He did Plandemic 1, he did Plandemic 2. What's Plandemic 3 all going to be about? And then I see my good friend Ed Griffin on screen, and it's the video from the 1960s that it's like 1967, and he had filmed this movie. I think it was for John Birch Society probably, and it was black and white, right? And it's a young Ed Griffin, and he's spouting about communism and collectivism. It's like one of the cornerstones of the freedom movement. And then as I'm seeing this clip, Mikki colorizes it, and now it's like Ed Griffin delivering these things. So he took that video from the 60s and he chops it up into a couple pieces, and then he complements it with all his interviews and then the B-roll and the evidence to support these things. And so really the Plandemic 3 is an homage to G. Edward Griffin's last 60 years of work, right? And there's a really cool part at the end where Ed's saying this powerful thing, and then he morphs it into Ed today, sitting there talking the same thing, right? And right before that shot happened, I noticed that Mikki had flipped the vertical axis. Ed's hairline's on the other side, his pockets on the other side. What's going on here? And then it's because that's what he needed to match Ed today, right? To bring it in on the other video. So I was like, oh, well played, well played. So as a filmmaker, I got to see one of my peers pretty much at the top of his game now, a spectacular display of scripting and editing and crafting of a message that is wholly voluntary and peaceful and includes everybody, and it's individualistic, and it simply points out that collectivism is a mass form of threat, of death, of plunder, of pillaging, that the people who brought this on the world in the last century, they're the same people running the Great Reset, and their agenda is very different than our agenda as individuals, that their needs as individuals may be even different than ours, right? What we need to get through our day is not the same what they need to get through their day. They're looking for domination, conquest, and there's a long lineage of people who have handed them the reins on this out of control freight train heading off the cliff. So that's a mixture of Stagecoach, Western, and Thelma and Louise. I'm just mixing those metaphors for you live. And so, I watched the credits. I saw that Sean Stone had done some research. I texted him. I texted Ed to congratulate him. Like, this must be a cathartic moment. You do work for 60 years out there and you don't think anyone's really listening, right? Nothing's really happening. But then all of a sudden, pandemic comes along and everyone's ready to hear what Ed has been teaching. They're ready to hear what Yuri Bezmenov told Ed back in the day. They're ready to hear what Anthony Sutton told Ed back in the day, right? All these things that I've been researching and publishing on for the past 15, 16, 17 years now. They are more readily understood by people today than ever in history. And I used to, think in the past, like when I was making films, it was to try to like convince people that these things were going on. Right now, people know these things are going on and they're looking more to understand why they're going on, which is an area I have yet to bring service in film. So it made me think maybe I need to start making more films too and get these messages out there, because even though we're in a censorship ridden environment, that's pretty much the reason why we should do more now than ever to use these freedoms to express ourselves while we still have the capacity to share such things with each other and not be locked up in the gulag or in the digital gulag these days. The separateness of being canceled and what do they call it when they take depersoned, right? Like they depersoned Alex Jones once upon a time, all in one day because he said some mean things to Oliver Darcy down at the Congress. He said some stuff, and then all the whole tech arena, Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everyone's like, no more Alex Jones. He can't talk to his audience anymore. And that's not an attack on Alex Jones. He stands between you and them. If they take out him, then you can't know about them anymore, right? So they're not trying to destroy Alex. They don't like that Alex can communicate these things to millions of people. And I don't know if Plandemic 3, well, I will say this. At the end, when Mikki said thank you afterwards, he apologized. He's like, we were up till 4 o'clock last night getting this movie done. And again, those were the things that made me think of hijacking humanity. It was like an 8 o'clock screening, and we were at Paul's house at 6:30, still like rendering the video. And so when Dell's saying, I had to get the thing from Mikki and drive it over here, and I was like, this is just an example of authentic filmmaking. It's not done on time. It's never done until you have to pull it and go show it to the audience, right? These sort of things, right? And he says, we had to cut a whole section out of the film last night. I really apologize to those of you who came here and you came here for the premiere because you were in the movie and you didn't see yourself and your family's here. And I want to explain why. And I thought that was good because it needs to be done. But then my brain said, who got cut? And then I thought back to who did I see on the red carpet that wasn't in the movie, that probably was in the movie, but got cut. And then I remember Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer, right? They were all there. It's in Austin. This is the premiere. They're probably in that movie. They probably got interviewed for it. And then there's also baggage that comes along with them from other activities going on in lawsuits and stuff, right? January 6th, all that stuff. So for political, technical, script reasons, I could, assess that he's probably the part that got cut out. And anyone else who was in that section that got cut might have been just innocent victims of being in the same section with Alex. So overall, you guys will be able to see it for free. I don't have the free link yet. I don't know if the link to the premiere still works from last night. You basically enter your email address and you get to see it for free. Your email address is the currency, and they're showing it for free because then they build a huge list to which they can market their future projects to and keep doing fundraising. So like from a meta angle, like he nailed it on the truth aspect and the research that should be marshaled for that. On the filmmaking aspect, it's excellent. And on the most impressive premiere of a freedom and liberty movie I've ever seen, yeah, they knocked it out of the park with that. And I think I'm probably not the only one who got inspired from last night's situation, and that we should see more of these things out in the environment. And we can't wait for Mikki to make a Plandemic 4. Maybe there should be other movies in between that kind of help to build this out. Because my thinking was, yeah, you pointed to it, bro, but do you know all the stuff that needs to be shown in the next movie to flesh this out for people? So you could literally see the same people that came up with these ideas and eugenics funded the Nazis and the Club of Rome for depopulation. Like it flows right through to the Plandemic. So I'm hoping that he's looking to open up that bigger picture with another film, and maybe we can do something to help them with that.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures, they're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at AUTONOMY, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The AUTONOMY course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.